All right, so let's start this puppy and let's see where it can go off the rails. Happy Sunday. Welcome to a Sunday Cup of Ray, a sport sojourn for the sports savvy soul. And started off in the title. Now, let me tell you, let me take you to a story. I don't want to get, I'll have to repeat it because everybody misses the first few minutes and you can't watch it unless you follow me on my YouTube page, Tampa Bay Rays 7683. Which nice again with the notification. All I made was a post. I said, hey, gonna do a cup Ray with a shot from the other side of the bridge. And 10 minutes later, I went over to my YouTube channel. It's like, just a reminder, it's coming. Notify when it's ready. So, I mean, am I something to be notified about? Eh. But on a Sunday morning, if you need a laugh or you want to talk, that's a good place to come. Then you can follow and like my YouTube channel, and also share it with a friend today. I got a comment. Now I did it. Oh, I don't have a comment. Okay, loser move. So, going back. So I'm walking out of the Rays Orioles game Friday night. The Rays had just won 3-0 after dropping that first game, and I'm having my first ever for this group of cousins, my first huge cousins night. Thanks, shout out to my boy Ted Gerwer, Teddy, and then of course Georgie and Richie Sandbrook were there, my cousins, and Teddy got the tickets for us. Orioles first place on a Friday night on the line. Of course, the Rays would win that game 3-0. Christopher Cole, I never did get a message back from you. Is my volume, the volume's okay? Anybody? Just let me know with a check mark because it is a little breezy out here. I'll get to that in a minute. But it was Friday night. Buds were 2 for 1. We're having a great time. Center field. Reminded that there used to be a restaurant there, Batter's Eye. Remember that? I mean, the reason why I say that is because, again, I worked at Tropicana Field, been a Rays fan since 98. Before then, been Major League Baseball. Hope to get team fans since 85. But remember the Batter's Eye, the restaurant with the thicker window, but you kind of felt like you were eating inside like I don't know, kind of like a bunker a little bit, like kind of felt, I mean, it was neat. You're in the outfield, but Major League Baseball was different in technology, but you felt like you were kind of sitting in the bunker. We'll work on that later. If y'all want to talk about that, comment. If you've got a Batter's Eye a restaurant there, used to be in center field at Tropicana Field. We're walking out. I've had probably more than a few too many Budweisers, but not, keeping it real still. And my cousins were having a great time. And I come walking out, and they're the giveaway on the way out. I'm the giveaway, and they hand me that full-sized Wander Franco bat, Dax printing, full bat. 31 ounce, like I'm like, ooh, and we won. It was 3-0, and I'm like, hey, and then get halfway to the car, and it satirically starts to hit me. I'm like, okay, they can't give the bats out before the game because then you got mayhem in the stadium, especially with the Oriole fans you had there, which, by the way, Orioles fans keeping it classy. Appreciate it. And I got some stories from my last 2 nights over at Tropicana Field. Okay, so let me see if here it is. Boom. First comment of the day. Good morning. Volume is good, Fred. Thank you so much. Because I did, it was weird yesterday. I didn't have my volumes right down at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down there on Central Avenue, you know where. And show and we've seen this, Fred. And here's a story, true story. Everyone at this point, every one of us has done this video cast or whatever, even if it's just a family and FaceTime or videos, and then it's slipped onto the internet, and oh my God, that shouldn't happen. But you got a number counter in the left-hand corner, which is just the number of viewers for one platform, and then you're streaming across a couple of platforms. I still haven't figured out which one's the one I got to stream across to make money, but I'm working on that. And the numbers were like, an average Saturday afternoon, people are doing their own thing. Plus it's me. So it's like 20, 15, 17, 25 live on the one channel that's displayed through the StreamYard. Again, there's a multiverse of channels. This is my YouTube channel. And all of a sudden the numbers, and that's why I like to tell the story. I think it's pretty cool. And those of you have been there, the numbers all of a sudden went 175 and then 253 and then almost to like wanted to push 300. Stayed there for a little while. And I'm going to say I've spiked before when Tom Brady retired or when he announced when he was coming back and I was live on the air, or the morning Jameis Winston, Johnny Dean, shout out to the professor. He calls me that Sunday morning and he's like, you doing a couple of this morning? I said, yeah, Seminole Park, 9:00. You might want to go a couple minutes early. Jameis's camp is just agreed in principle with the New Orleans Saints. Of course, Tom Brady just got here. There'd been no 55. What? So it was crazy. Satino up in here. Satino, great picture the other day up in the 5th floor where you're working there. Good morning, Ray. Go Bucks all day long. Fire lit, and I 100% agree. What's up, Ray? Tim, what's up, brother? Okay, so I want to start the show off. I didn't even know my showrunner. Can I do that? So I can shoot a show on my Facebook page, and then could you guys watch? Do everybody a favor, everyone out there, even if you're watching this post later, share the show right now. It's gonna be. I can never promise it's gonna be good, but I forgot I didn't even share my show. First of all, let me do this right. Let me go to comments. It's worst shows ever. I dropped just such a great show. It may have been the first time I ever interviewed James of Canada, former Buccaneer, number 98 in your program, number 1 in this guy's, and I'm sure your heart, host of the Big Game Sports Buzz in the Chop Shop. First show I had James as an interview, and it went just like it has every day since then between us, peas and carrots. It was the best. We had such good talk, and he's such a great, did it, done it, Buccaneer, Colt, Buccaneer. But I get done doing the show, and I drop my boom, my music, and I'm like, boom. From production standpoint, I'm like, okay, good. Remove myself. So when the thing's over, I get done the entire show, shut it up, put the computer in the bag, get all the way home. Next day, whatever, following morning, who am I kidding? It was that night. No, but get to the end of the show just because I wanted to see the sign off, how James and I, how we signed off. Again, first time I'm interviewing, and I want to make sure that went, which it couldn't go any but great. And I had left the last comment that was made, and it wasn't a bad comment. It was a long comment, and I had left that the entire out. So, you'll see it right here. I'll show you. Even though, Tim, I appreciate you, this is basically what my show out looked like on what to then felt like one of the best shows in my life. I've dropped a couple since then, and I'm proud of. So this is what it looked like. Which isn't like, it's part of this deal. It's in there, but if you're from a production standpoint, you're cut to this, fade to that, cut this out, bring this in, right? So yeah, I'm not prime time ready for the NFL truck. I'm not going to be working the booth. I'm not making $37.5 million. Maybe next year to work the booth. I kid. But we'll have a lot of bat talk on the other side. Let me get back to where I was. And again, this is a Sunday morning cup of Ray. Please share the show. I appreciate you. See if we can get those numbers running up again yesterday or now. See you on the other side. Hold on. You guys know I am not multi-talented. I'm basically single, not even single talented. So just stand by one single. Let me just share some page. Hey, everybody. Okay. So I did the whole thing where I was going to try to make a joke about, hey, 4 guys leave a Major League Baseball game to get handed a bat, whether the team wins or loses. I think that you can make a joke about it. I think that you can also make a news report. 4 young men left the baseball game last evening, and after the team had dropped a tough one to the Orioles, were handed bats. Of course, didn't even mention the fact that they've been drinking. I kid, but really what I want to reflect on is the fact that Tampa Bay, we have the kind of community, we have the kind of people here, we have the spirit to be able to have this Wander Franco bat giveaway. And it was leaving because, again, you can't give it to them when they're entering the stadium. But even an old guy last night, he's like, hey, they were like mini bats, right? I'm like, So let me show you. I mean, it's basically a nice bat. But the reason why I opened the show with the bat, again, thanks to the Rays, thanks to Dex Imaging, was I was out here. I'm just going to let y'all know because I know a lot of y'all got kids and stuff. God, it's turned into a PSA, but it just really happened 10 minutes ago. I was swinging the bat, just taking some right cuts, brought it over to the left side because that's how I do. I didn't hit anything. I didn't touch anything. I've been careful with this thing, and it came apart. So the reason why I'm showing you is because if you look at the way the bat's set up for Wander, it's a display bat. Now, inevitably, if not today, tomorrow, a young Wildcat's going to find it, and she's going to take a hard swing at a heavy high one, and it's going to splinter like a cork bat. Not so bad. It happens in baseball. Just want to make sure you tell your kids to be careful with that. It's not going to go into their little league rotation. But now I forgot. I think I lost it there with the whole comment with the bat. But oh, wait a minute. Oh God, I shared good morning. I was just trying something new with the YouTube page. Tough one last night, and there's so many Orioles fans here, which, by the way, I never realized because remember we are creamsicle. I think well, there was a Dolphins, and then, but we were the OGs with the cream. So we get like bright colors. Good morning, everybody. It's Cup of Ray. Thank you. Please share the show. Any questions y'all want to talk about this morning? I had a show, but that Oriole orange, and let me tell you something. Got a chance to again stand in center field again last night because that just happens to be my favorite spot now for all the action. Again, behind the old Batter's Eye restaurant there, which for the life of me, I used to take pictures for fan photography, and I'd go up in there because I'd have a custom, where are y'all going to be, what seat, and then inevitably there'd be a small family or a couple, and we're going to be eating dinner in the Batter's Eye. So, I would take the proofs up, just showing them pictures, see if they wanted to buy them. They're available online. It was a great thing. Took some great pictures. Although I'll tell you this much right now, I didn't make money on the pictures. They did. Okay, whatever. For me, it was a part-time hustle to get into every Rays home game free. And you know what? It was a great hustle. In fact, but if we'd have had that outfield rail when I worked for the Rays, because remember, before they built that rail and basically the stadium kind of almost died out the back left behind 162, but then you went underneath and found your way to center field straight. And you come back around, and we had the fast pitch machine, and of course, our offices for fan photography, and then the escalators to go up and start that But that rail now around the outfield at Tropicana, oh, are you kidding me with the camera? Hold on. I mean, everyone's doing it themselves anyway, taking some great candidates. It's a great shot. It's a thing. No more comments, yeah. Okay. By the way, okay, so the reason why I'm out here on this side of John's Pass, it's shady. It's shady enough, but weird thing, it's July. We've arrived to that point in Florida where it basically is going to rain at any given time. And it did. It had a little sun shower, and it's coming in off the coast. What I really wanted to show y'all, and I don't know if you can see them, maybe those of you, they look like they've gone down a little bit. Look at the white caps. You see the white caps there with the wind just starting to, and I was down here last Sunday, just a few feet over that way by the sails that pass parasails, and if the wind was coming out of actually it was more like direct northwest, but this is almost coming more from the west. But the white caps and the breeze down here. There's your back to you guys. That's your meteorology report for the day. I don't know. I was talking about the Batter's Eye restaurant there because for the life of me, even having worked the stadium and having hundreds of times, thousands of times, I was talking to some old timers last night about it there in right field. Andy Land got the chance to sit over there for a while last night, and what that entire railing there around the outfield and then the standing room only seats with this field. But I'll tell you this. First question gets my phone number. I posed to the gentleman behind me. I said, third deck, right? Because I know we're looking, and of course he says, well, of course playoffs, and then I don't even remember if it was opening day we had it. I'm trying to remember. I wasn't there opening day, but I think there was some trickling numbers up into the third deck, and I'm like, because right, the stadium thing is still going on. I'm sorry, y'all, if you tune in for Bucks. I'll talk Bucks. Just bring the questions. I want to talk about this while it's on my head. Well, it's in my head. Well, it's on my brain. But so if you did staff the third deck and you opened it and you let the people know in the first 6-8 rows that you just can't see home plate, but you can get up in there, it's almost as good as the standing room only out there. Now you have to employ all those people to run those. And I'm sure that the Sternberg and the Rays, and they have no problem doing that. I mean, I assume that's the reason, but I don't want a money grab look. I don't want it to be like, and then I wonder, when we go, oh, it's a sellout, 23,000, and I'm like, well, I know if the open top deck the way originally built before we found out there were obstructed seats, it was more like what 38,000 or is it 42,000? Someone help me out there. Should have did my homework on that. I don't have a problem with it. And the old man, the gentleman sitting behind me, he's there every game, just a gamer. I wish I got his name. He's nice, good people. He's like keeping everybody down, keeping it more intimate. And I'm like, yep, I get that, right? And then even there were times last night that I'm looking on the field and I'm like, it almost looked like the sky. Like it was like, oh, it's kind of blue like the sky. And then, you follow the lines of the dome. It doesn't take away from the experience. In fact, it does add to it to bring us all down and copacetically find a way to sit. But then when you have all those Oriole fans there last night, and shout out to the Orioles fans until someone says not, their team is just kicking. I'm bawling. And the fact of the matter is, they make the wild cards last season. They're coming in Florida. We know historically we're late ticket buyers. I was Actually bought one at the door yesterday. Long story. I don't want to get into it. It's FSU Day, FSU Chop at the Trop. Okay, I'll throw this out there because, I'm not gonna embarrass myself anymore. I got my guy back here hooking up, keeping it nice and keeping it clean and real for all the patrons down here. Just every day, just gets a nice washing down. The deck does, and walking to the bar over here, and I'm looking across at the midway point here of the Johns Pass Bridge, and of course, a lot of you guys and girls know how strong the current is through there. And there were like I counted, there were 5 pelicans, right? There were some the pelicans because I was admiring them earlier, making it because the breeze again coming in off the Gulf. It's making this little it's making a little oh, what was the name of the thing? Summer rental. Oh, somebody help me out here. What was the name when John Candy puts his pants? No, he goes, oh, is that a? He looks up and he's a funnel gunnel, right? Is that like really even a thing? A funnel gunnel. But the pelicans were, and then they catch the breeze, but they're looking for fish, is what they're doing. But when I'm getting my water from my girl Jen, who's the best, I pose the best bartender. Of course, my cousin Teddy over at Mahuffers, they got a serious staff, but Jen over here at Kirby's on the Bass, she will take care of you and with the most beautiful smile. Those 5 pelicans were just standing there. And I look at them, and you know what I thought? This, honest to God's truth, just came to mind. I looked at those 5 pelicans, and I was like, dang, thug life. I mean, they were thugs. They were just, I mean, I love pelicans, but they're just like, there's. I'm not going to try to go into too much script. They were thugs. They were thugs, all 5 of them. And I know they're getting ready to feed. Got the dolphins that come through here and all the activity here at Johns Pass. So why don't you come out to Krabby's today? If it's not breakfast, make it lunch and or dinner. Tell Dan you saw it on Cup Hooray, and maybe he gives me a high five next time. So, okay, bringing it back, talking stadium. I don't need to do that. But as the narrative continues to be, oh, hey, there's someone in Tampa. There's Mayor Castor knows somebody. She's got people. There's a billionaire on the line that can make it work over there. Forget logistics about, okay, in Ybor it's sexy and it is accessible from all these points, but then Tampa at rush hour and or any other time of the day. Tampa on Saturday and Sundays, just going to Disney's gotten. They got a lot better. It's not the malfunction junction anymore. Seriously, it moves okay. Lately, a lot of my time when I go there is I make that left to go, not Bears, but up 275 to 75 to go to Carolina. I haven't done that in a minute. I'm not doing it this year. Facebook, quit hitting me with my memories from this day 10 years ago where I was in the mountains having a great stop. But not opening a third deck keeps the attendance down. The attendance down means it's not as big of a it shouldn't be a big of a thing. We're having great year. We're having records. It's already record-setting attendance here. But the fact that it could be more, but nobody's pushing for it, does that play into the narrative that we're like, hey, this is because this is St. Petersburg's team. This is Tampa Bay's team. The infrastructure, all the funding's in place. What Mayor Ken Welch is doing, and this is kind of where I wanted to go with the show. Nobody's talking. Ask me anything. Pull me out of this dark narrative before I make somebody mad. The African American community, and rightly so, they made the statement that Mayor Welch isn't as accessible as he was, and he's not. I'm trying to access him just for an interview. I've been very kind. He knows I do him right. He's my dog, Mr. Ken Welch, Mayor Ken Welch. But his father and what they met, his father's met in the area in politics, and what Mayor Welch has done, and what it means to be the mayor of St. Petersburg, making the decisions that will affect, well, the entire future of the entire city, which I would pose it goes all the way out to the peninsula and could even go over to Tampa from that standpoint. I like that he's been doing it. He's crossing his T's and dotting his I's. I 100%, the biggest disappointment in all this, I'll tell you right now, would be if it does come back and they don't actually go back and they go back and they do the redevelopment with also the reflection on the fact from the gas plant district and how it was supposed to be redeveloped right in the first place. And everything happened off the water and we moved up. We're at 34th Street now. It's gone out, but not just to make it lucrative, not just to make it, give the things you promised, the types of, the community planning, which the city of St. Petersburg got some real dogs now in planning, so they're doing this right. But make sure recognizing the historical significance of the area, what was said in '83, what needs to be done in 2023, make it right, build a stadium, funding's all there. Mayor Ken Welch, he's not being influenced. I mean, I'm sure there's a bazillion people calling him, would you like to license this? Would you like to license that? Would you like to have a, something.com paddle boat that'll get people from whatever? He's got to make these decisions. Rick Dodge in the city of St. Petersburg back in the 80s, they left this nugget, this nut, they put it off to the side, they kept that property, didn't build on it because they knew, I'm talking about, obviously, if like you live in North Florida or something, or Tennessee. Now it's time. And end of day, if the Rays go to Tampa, if the Rays would build a waterfront stadium in St. Petersburg, if all we were worried about is that lower stadium, it's not so much the size of it, the toniness of it, and the television lines, and an epic place to be. Because I'll be honest with you, I don't want to lose all my Bayfront to what it take to build a grand. Now I'm talking about uptown. Now they're the Tropicana Field District or the Gas Plant District. They've got that stadium in place. The Hayes Group already put it up there, and there's been a lot of boxes getting checked on that. But if it could be a Tony Stadium, or if they built it, I hate to say this, I know I got friends at Allang Field. Allang Field. Look, you can't portion off some of Alfred Whitted Airport, and I get it. As long as there's people that are belonging, these doctors, lawyers, people who've lived here, there's heart transplants flown in and out. It's a great airport. So I've taken my nephews and my nieces and all my kids there before there was even a park at the end to watch the planes just take off and land. You don't get that back. But if from a feasibility standpoint, they look at it and they're like, well, with a stadium and 10 blocks all going east at game time and then 10 blocks all coming west after game so that people can get in and out. You can walk from 34th Street as long as it's not July or August. Man, my numbers just dropped. I am so sorry for being so unentertaining. Tim, someone threw me the rope. Tim, thank you. Let's talk about the O-line. You know how I feel about running the ball. Can these guys pull it off together and provide some room to run? Tim, thank you. Yeah, right. Because not just with Ryan Jensen, and I talked with Peter Blake yesterday, that of course Tristan Morris at right tackle, and Donovan had been Jameis's backside partner. So that Morris, now Donovan's with the Chiefs. Okay, whatever. But the offensive, let me give it to you this way, Tim. What I'm so excited about is because of the trials and tribulations in 2022 with Jensen, Marpet, and Kappa, and how Jason Light and the offense, basically they had to do this every game. Now you get a Ryan Jensen back. You move Tristan to left tackle. Tristan's going to be the leader on his team, which buried the lead. He's not. Don't get me wrong. Tristan Wirfs is going to be the leader on this offense, which I pose might be one of the most exciting things. I mean, even over Baker Mayfield, honestly, I believe that. It may not come through like that, but I think that everyone knows the heart and what Tristan's put out there this year so far. But also, Ryan Jensen's your vocal leader inside, and that cat you got back with, again, Tim, I pose. Forget that we have Todd Bowles' top 10 defense. If the offense, forget that. Let's just say we have Arizona Cardinals defense. This offense, and you're going to tell us we're the 31st worst team in the league? Calling it in. I mean, everybody works Zoom and via video now, which here I am doing that, so I can't feel self-serving for saying that. They're just like, phoning it in. Oh, yeah, Bucks, they suck. Oh, boom, yeah, new offense coordinator, boom, yeah, no Tom Brady, Baker, Trask, maybe Trask, whatever. Oh, Creamsicle's kind of cool. Let's run that. I'm back to, okay, no, there's so many great storylines, and I've known so many Bucks teams. Now I'm just talking too fast. Anyone else have anything they want to say? I've known too many Bucks teams where I had to work a lot harder to make up an excuse or try to sell you on a reason why a team should be successful. I also haven't had to do it. I mean, it was Brett Favre in the Packers back in the day, and you had Irvin Randall, and of course Culpepper with the Vikings, and Barry Sanders with the Lions, and Jim McMahon and Walter Payton with the Bears. I'm just dating myself here. There were times, and in the South since 2002, there's been times and Drew Brees and the Saints and Katrina and the emotion. There's been times where the competition has been just as well, not maybe top to bottom of the division. But I'll tell you this. Somebody make sure there's no more comments. With Bryce Young, number 1 overall, Carolina, and Frank Reich, and what Arthur Smith is building there in Atlanta, and then Dennis Allen, the Wizard, whatever he is, I think he sold his soul to the devil or something, because he was running it with the defenses, and he had Sean Payton, and now he's going to get his offense this year. Although Kamara, really no suspension. You litigated it right, I guess. I mean, we knew you keep kicking the can down the road, and as long as, was it Busby or whatever, the lawyer that was coming in with all the, no, that was Northwestern. Okay, brain scatter. Let me get a drink of water before I pass out. But avoid. I don't care. I mean, from a competitive standpoint, we want to play everyone's best. Right. And then when there is an injury, you might go, oh my gosh. But, at the same time, you're like, yeah, I would have liked to see that dog get off. So Kamara not being suspended, as a Bucks fan, I'm supposed to go, what? And I said it that day. I said, now that they got it bumped, what they get it bumped down to? At first, it was like egregious trying to kill someone with your boot the day of the Pro Bowl 2 years ago. He gets arrested right after the game. And then by the time they washed it out here in court in 2023, they got it like down to like what, public intoxication. So the NFL's like, hey, there you go. You paid. And Kamara, he's a good running back. I don't think he's a bad seed. I don't think that by any stretch of the imagination. Wouldn't mind had to watch him sit for 3 games, but if that meant that, again, the Saints go down the Leonard Fournette rabbit hole, which I still think Leonard Fournette out there, just staying in shape. He may not want. If you've seen him, if you've seen some of his interviews, you've seen him talk. Of course, that guy could go right to broadcasting, right into into wherever. But if someone's going to hire him as a hitman here late after, unless he's already been somewhere. Someone tell me if Fournette's not been signed anywhere. And of course, he's from New Orleans. Fournette, since the time he was like 11, before he even gets into middle school, was already making the newscasts on a weekly on the basis. Gets into high school and he had a team. And I don't mean he had a team like in that conceded. He had a team that regulated him so he could be his best. And Leonard Fournette was his best. Wait. Come on, Brian. I know you're watching, Brian. Get in here. Where was I? So he had a team. And he was such a dog at LSU. And then the Bucks get him. That's probably let me throw this out there since y'all are in such a. Yeah, Tim Haynes says Leonard's playing days are just about over. Yeah, because it wasn't so much. I don't know though, Tim. Not so much. I think because he's ready to make that transition, but man, not having to go to camp. Yeah, I mean that's just how it plays out. Let's go back to 2020 since this show is everybody's yelling at me so loudly. Again, shout out again to Yank and Crank's Extreme Fishing, yankandcrank.com. Please go check it out at Yank and Crank. I was going to wear the Yank and Crank shirt today, but I had forgotten, and I'd worn it actually on Friday night, so I have a few, but the one I wanted to wear that would allow me to, before I decided to go full cabana, and that's, let me tell you where I'm at here on Krabby's on the Pass, so I can do that, is that I'm on the very western side, the small little dock. There's 5 tables. They're all tiki thatched, and protects you from the sun. I still haven't verified, but I think we'll maybe see the bridge, the very southern part of the bridge go up when it goes up. And it's only 27 minutes, 24 seconds, so I have to do this for 32 minutes and 34 seconds more. I'm kidding. So, 2020, 55. Your favorite narrative, looking back on it, because, we're a whole 3 years removed from it now. Favorite player's performance in the Super Bowl, not in the postseason, but in that Super Bowl game, because there were quite a few dogs that you could go. Mine was Derek Brooks in the pick 6. Let's see what I got here. Ray Kennedy says, good morning. Good morning, Ray. Thanks for coming in here, brother. Do me a favor, share that show. Back to the Orioles fans, though. They were nice, although O's. And then, man, when the Rays tie it 5-5, I'm like, O's. And then, of course, when they win it and Pete Fairbanks gets up the hit and we get the run. So far, sitting at 1-2 against them, with today's game being the one that could cap it and double it. Hate the fact that, we had Sugar Shane last night and we had Zach Eflin the other night. Okay, right. So we saw us lose 2 close games because, and I'm glad that it wasn't Neil Solondz last night that said this, but someone on the game, on the WDAE on the game there, said we've lost the 2 games that the Rays have dropped to the Orioles were based on 2 big innings where the Orioles got those bats working and they scored a plethora, smallish Leo word, of runs real quick, and then the Rays. The way I watched that Rays team last night, and it wasn't small ball, but the way they battled back in. Players going to was it Harold Ramirez or who? Not only Ramirez, but also I want to say even Josh Lau. But how our players, Josh, we're still waiting, man. But where I took him to a ball, made the pitchers, made that strike zone so small that they had to come to them, and then they made some hits. I think by that very standard, I'm going to stand by the fact that I really think this Rays team is really about to get off. Really, they're really close. I thought last night might have been the one. I would post scoring 5 runs to tie it up after the 6th inning. Was the one. Great game though. Let's see. I got some comments. Thank you, people. Okay, Tim already got you, so shut up. Tim says, I agree on Derek. Yeah, it's a touchdown, Super Bowl 37. Luis says, the Rays need relievers and a closer. The hitting will come back. Probably the comment of the show right there, my friend. Yeah, that's all. I mean, because they would have locked that game down yesterday. And, pitchers are going to have a bad outing. And when Pete Fairbanks comes in, the first thing I'm thinking is, all right, again, working it back to Cincinnati about 105 minutes ago, Pete's got the record now for most consecutive scoreless innings. Let's just go in and drop this. And it doesn't happen. And you're like, well, he hasn't had a whole lot of saves opportunities lately. So maybe, and I'm like, veteran leadership in the locker room and a closer. And I got my guy. I'm going to bring him right in here. Oh, this is awesome. It's a pleasure. Let me make sure I got my screens right. Brian Pilar, brother, how are you?
What's going on, Ray?
Am I really loud?
No, you're fine. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, but where are you at?
I'm in my backyard.
Wait, this is your backyard? Wait, don't let anyone see your address. Because this is a viral. Oh, let me see the backside again. That's what she said. Oh, Brian, beautiful brother. Hey, you know what? Let's just jump right into it. You just spent a soul reset vacation in Japan. And I mean, it's on your socials. They can go back and look at it. Tell me a little bit about that. What are some of the biggest things that struck you about there going on your trip to Japan?
I don't know. The culture is completely different, but it's really nice. Like the people there are very polite. And like, even I was telling people that when we went through TSA, my son always gets stopped because he always has like too many books and his computer in his bag and all that. Yes, and they came over and they go, "Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry. Can we please look at your bag again, sir?" To my 19-year-old son, and he pulled the laptop out and they wouldn't scan it. And then they came back and apologized to him again for having to look at it a second time. Yeah. So you hear my wife's over there mowing the grass. Life is good.
She's you already knew you were living my dream, man. Hey, tell me again about the show you went to. You put 2 posts in that beautiful video you put together, and you said something to me about because it was all in Japanese. And what happened there?
Oh yeah, so we went to a theme park over there. It was for some Japanese studio. I think they produced like Power Rangers and something called Kamen Rider. And we got a special guest star here. Hang on.
Hello, hey, it's a dog. Dog days.
Yeah, it's a dog. Yeah. But anyway, so we went to that theme park, and they had all kinds of anime stuff and Power Rangers and all the old costumes and vehicles. And then they had a stunt show, and it was like ninjas versus samurai or whatever. But of course, they always open with like a little comedy bit. So they're out there and they're just going full in Japanese, and maybe 3 other people in the audience were English speakers, so it was a full audience of Japanese people, and they were all laughing, and we were laughing along because of the way they were acting, but have no idea what they're saying.
Yeah, because it's the very nature of it. It's physical acting, and then the fact that you're the thing is funny is you're watching it and you pick something up because you're not speaking Japanese, but you're like, I know what they just said. Hey, brother.
Yeah.
So why are the Buccaneers expected to be the 31st worst team in the league? By the way, Brian Pilar, a good friend of mine, Brian, also a season ticket holder, locking it down. I want to let everybody know, season ticket holder knows a lot about the Bucs. Why are the Bucs so undervalued? What do I not see here, Brian?
I think people are undervaluing the defense. I think their defense is going to be better. And then, I don't know, I have higher hopes for the offense. Last year, the offense was terrible, obviously. I mean, I'm not going to blame it all on Brady, but I think he was kind of done, especially with the line being in the situation it was,
Yes. And you were at those games. Were you at the Green Bay game last year?
I was at all of them, yeah.
Okay.
Well, the only game I didn't go to be honest, was the Dallas game at the end because I was like, well, I can get back like half my season ticket money by selling one game, and I know they're going to get blown out anyway, so.
Oh. And let me go back to that Green Bay game, brother, because you've been to many games over the years. Brian and I went to school together, by the way. For those of you who don't know, like, who is this guy? I don't even know Brian. Good friend of mine, but also he's got vacation vids. Go look at his social media on Facebook. Just don't DM him or be obsessive.
Oh, you can.
There you go, bro. That's why I love you. Hey, so
it's open.
It's open. Going back to that Buccaneers offensive line in 2022, you lose Jensen, you lose Matt Marpet. No, I'm sorry, brother. I'm discombobulated. Go back to that Green Bay game last year.
Mm-hmm.
You remember we're sitting there. It's late first quarter, almost early second quarter, and you're thinking. I'm asking you this first time I've asked you this. You're thinking they're punishing our defense the way we're supposed to do it to opposing defenses that come in here. Our offense could not hold on to that ball.
Right. Yeah.
Remember that, right?
Yeah. No, I mean, not in particular. Honestly, it's all a blur last year.
Why not living that good life? Well, let me tell you the reason why. I'm pointing to, you're right about it not just being Tom Brady and that offensive line, but the fact that the matter is they undervalue this Buccaneers defense, but that's based on an offense that was averaging 1.5 minutes per drive. That defense was so tired, we were getting out defense, right? So again, Shaq Barrett back healthy. Tristan's move to left tackle works good. Kyle Trask, your quarterback. How can this team be valued or picked to be 31st?
I mean, I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock in the preseason evaluations anyway. So I'm just, I think part of it is they find every bad throw that Baker or Trask makes in the, you know what I mean? And they put a compilation together like, look, you missed this guy. And I'm like, whatever, like.
Yeah, it's like
it's not even training camp yet, like who cares if they overthrow a guy and whatever.
Hey, the coaches literally like throw backside butt passes to see if they could catch him, and they're like, "Oh, this is how terrible these guys look." Before I get you out of here,
there she goes.
He's a trooper. Hey, who had the most fun of that vacation to Japan? I think you did.
Probably me, yeah, probably me.
What was the immersion? And I'm sorry, brother, off the top of my head, your wife's name?
Giselle.
What was she was in that immersion, that artistic thing, and you took a picture. I couldn't even wrap my head around. She was standing, leaning up, and it was such a beautiful picture. Yeah,
so that whole place was crazy. We put it on the list before we even left. I saw it in a TV show with James May. I don't know if you watched James May Travels Japan or whatever on Amazon. And that whole place is just completely immersive. You have to take off your shoes, and they tell you to wear short pants because a lot of it you're walking through water, and then every time you walk through water, then you go into another room and they've got like towels folded up for you to dry your feet,
What?
And then
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
so immersive.
Yeah. But the that room there in particular was they had these strings hanging from the ceiling, and they had live plants growing on them. I don't know how they did it because you could see the roots, but those were all live flowers. And then you couldn't really tell in the photos, but those strings were going up and down in a pattern. And then you kind of walk and crawl through it, and then like the floor was completely mirrored. So that's what made it look. She was laying on her back. Yeah,
it was such a beautiful picture. I mean, of course, Brian's also a professional photographer. Don't say
I wouldn't say professional. Yeah, amateur.
Don't say you're not. Okay, a professional amateur. But so such beautiful shots. But tell me again about the crowd shots as you guys walked the street of Japan, because it looked like you guys were the only ones in the country.
Yeah, no, that software on the new Google Pixel phones is really great. So, I mean, as long as they're not blocking something that the software can't replicate, it'll just cut the people right out. So, I mean, I try to keep as few people in the pictures as possible, but then, especially if it's just like sand behind them or whatever, or something flat, the thing will just wipe them out in 2 seconds. But even bricks and stuff, though, yeah.
And you did. Yeah. You had a few shots on the train. You had a few shots downtown, and you wanted to capture the essence and the people and
you want the people. You want them in those shots, but not in the nature shots, Well,
not when you're at the
shrine,
the shrine. Hey, the couple that were walking in front of you in the kimonos and the wooden flip flops. Did you have to tip them to get that picture, or was that totally on the slide?
That was secret. But the thing is, they have all these rental stores there, and it's I think it's mostly Japanese people doing it. I didn't really see any tourists doing it, and they rent those outfits. And they're wearing the wooden flip flops, that clip flop on the street.
They can't be.
No, not at all. And then they would rent them and walk up that one shrine, which was like an hour walk to get to the top, upstairs.
Wow.
And also it's very hot, so they're wearing these big heavy robes with flowers all over them, and their hair's all done in the bun and all that stuff. And
that has to have some empirical tie back 800 years.
I guess,
to the proverb, "Walk a mile in my shoes." Boom!
Right.
Did you get there, Brian? Where's your deal? Come on, bring something for me. I'm kidding, brother. I can't thank you enough for hopping in here. I want to get you off because I want you to go do some of that yard work and give that beautiful wife of yours a little break, man.
No, I got the ribs on the smoker. That's my job. So
Yeah, just DM the address, please. And next time you have an open ticket or someone you sit by has an open ticket there at Raymond James, you know who to call. And if they're not available,
Oh,
give me a holler, brother.
actually, I was just about to text you the other day because my son said he's not going to be able to come down as much, so I'll have a free seat now and then for you.
Take
Yeah.
care of your people and take care of me, and
Yeah.
I'll always be there with you, brother. Brian,
All
thanks for
right, man.
joining me.
Appreciate it.
You
All
actually are
right.
the best part of the show so far.
All right. Thanks. It's been fun.
Take care, brother.
See ya.
Yeah, I love my boy Brian. It was great. There was 3 people. I threw the invite out. I was like, just messenger on a Sunday because really that's what this thing's all about. It's just a Sunday morning, and yeah, I see the numbers, but people, your fingers are lazy. So let's go back. I could have gotten to so much more with Brian talking about the Bucks, but nobody's even mentioned Kyle Trask or Baker Mayfield. I got to lean forward a little bit because it's been a long day. Nobody even mentioned that. So what are your thoughts on that offensive line? I mean, Goodell, Goodell, Gadecki, Hainsey, the experience they get with the injuries in 2022, and then now you're moving Tristan over, and Cody Mock's coming in. You know, Ryan Jensen. That's probably. Here I am just throwing stuff out of nowhere, but I got nothing to talk about. Probably the best acquired free agent. And well, Tom Brady, okay, let's give him a creamsicle, retire him, and no, I get it. But I mean, you're talking about when we bring Ryan Jensen from Baltimore and what it meant to bring in that dog up front on his offensive line and what it's meant over these last few years. Even if Mr. Jensen, Ryan's dad, did completely want to tear me to shreds at one point, and I got nothing but love and respect it. I won't rehash that. It was 2020, and there's no reason. It would be cheap for me to share. If anybody wants to hear the story, just I need 3 people to say, yeah, let's hear the Jensen story because it's a thing. I mean, it's an actual thing. But I'm trying to think. Post litigation, we signed, confidentiality agreements. I think I can share it at this point, but we need to see people asking to want to see. Oh, there's someone got comments that got to the bottom. No, okay. Let's talk about the Rays. Talk about the Bucks. You know, what's weird is as the Yankees are over here, and then you got the Yankees over here, and that was always that Dale Mabry was always that sports corridor going back to Rowdies and Bucks back in the 70s and 80s and stuff like that. There is part of you, and again, I just sold nothing but love from a city of St. Pete today, but there is part of me, and I'd be lying as a Tampa Bay sports fan and I'm asking you guys and girls this. There's a part of me that's like, it would work right here. In fact, Legends Field does work right there. And I know that George Steinbrenner, and he meant a lot to the city of Tampa. He had deep roots here, deep as in the port of Tampa, deep roots. But you're like, and I say this because my family been going down to Port St. Lucie since back when we lived in Staten Island in New York back in the 60s. So I understand the heritage and I don't know how it works, but I can't figure out, and maybe it's because I guess Dale Mabry is a little further from the malfunction junction. I know I call it that, but maybe they think it'd be easier to get everyone off right there to go to a Rays game as opposed to have. So part of me is always like, what about that property and who owns it and how much and how can the city of Tampa utilize that property to possibly, maybe they've already got plans for a 1,000 story condominium. I'm going to go right up there and call it Buccaneer Tower someday. I don't know. Why couldn't you? Because you got the parking from the stadium for the Rays, then you'd have the parking for the stadium for the Bucks, and then I guess you'll have parking at the stadium for USF until they get that stadium built. But what are your thoughts on that? I see the numbers running up. Just anything you guys want to talk about this morning. Where am I? I'm gonna step out in the sun for a minute. Ooh, I am at Krabby's on the Pass right here. I'm just across the Johns Pass Bridge. People are. When I back up, I can smell the vanilla pancakes. The French vanilla pancakes. Oh. It's one of that and their omelets. They got the best omelets down here. So homemade. And then, of course, you're right here along the world's longest waterfront bar. So, yeah, thanks to the staff at Krabby's. Okay. Y'all are just like, we ain't going to say nothing. You just keep talking. Okay, so let me work it back to the back. Again, I this is nothing, not trying to be, but, I was just swinging it, and it came apart. And this isn't a knock on nobody, but I'll put my address in here. So no, but I mean, it's just, remember, it's not meant so much to be a played with bat. You don't go high and inside with a fastball on your 6-year-old kid if they're swinging that bat, because it's made of a type of wood. It's really not. And I assume that's the case because I was taking swings out here and it splintered like I had a cork in it. Let's see what else we got here. Man, is it nice. You about done? Oh, now you got to come over set up this? Oh, okay. Just getting some shade. There you go. Oh, man. Woo. So, yeah, now my numbers go up. Take a drink of water, numbers go up. I start talking, numbers go down. Let me work over these comments already. That's what we. Well, there are really no comments. All right, so let's go here. Let me just double check to make sure there are comments before I end this, which I don't want to, but hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, this is your captain speaking. Please put your trays in their upright positions and be sure that your seatbelts are fastened. We are on approach to Tampa St. Petersburg International. Tampa International. I'm trying to find out. All I want to know is who's. Okay, so now I got MLB loads. Thank you for that. Let's go over here. Okay, here we go. Whoa, wow, look at that, a computer working. No, I don't need the advertisement. Thank you, though. Appreciate you, MLB. I'll let you know when I'm ready. Oh, and see, reset it back to the 22nd again. All right, 23rd, Baltimore, Tampa Bay. Show it to me. Man, wouldn't this just be awesome? I'm going to be really excited or pleasantly optimistic in about 10 seconds. Yes, sir. There you go, Taj Bradley. Yes. Wouldn't it be great? It's got to be great because it can't go down 1-3 in this 4-game series against these Orioles. But won't it be? Oh, look at you. My numbers go up when I'm off when I don't even look. I cannot even look, and it's like, hey, everybody, he's not looking. Yeah, to have Taj come in and have another performance. And the last thing you want is to be the person that's. Oh, by the way, if you were at the Rays game last night, I wasn't even drinking beer. I stopped drinking like early in the day. I had 1 beer, maybe 4. I don't know. But I was drinking water. I was double fisting, had waters in each hand. But I mean, I'm in the outfield, and it's like there's that moment, right? And I'm probably gonna take a lot of heat for this, but there's that moment that I'm like, I look around, and I go, oh, cute family, babies all in his FSU little, onesie, and oh wow, look at that, look like FSU cheerleaders. That's kind of cool. Oh, a lot of maroon, and that's kind of lost in a lot of that. I'll call it what it is, a burnt ass orange. Okay, I got love for the Orioles. The fans are okay, but man, that is a hideous. That's like Technicolor 1970s. Like I couldn't turn the other way fast enough, but hey, nothing but love. Tosh Bradley on a bump today. Let's do this, Tosh. Let's get this V, but let's get these bats. But I'm looking at, and it's real. The vibe. The vibe at Tropicana Field was very like another beer, I have a pizza. Cool, crowded, but it was and so I'm looking. Oh, and I'm proud for this moment because I'm a Gator guy, I'm a Seminole guy, I'm a Hurricane guy, I'm a first and foremost USF Bowl guy. But I like from here and then moving out. I'm not gonna lie, it's just how I do. And then I'll look at the game and it's just a storyline or what have you. But all this burgundy and gold was spread around me. I'm thinking Gene Deckerhoff back for the 38th year and how awesome that's going to be. And, of course, the voice of the Seminoles for so many years. And I look in the behind first baseline and there's so many Orange fans and stuff. And they were getting a little bit loud, but not obnoxious. Oh! And I look around. I'm like, wait a minute. What's tonight? I turn to the guy next to me, kid. maybe 20-something-year-old. I said, "What's tonight's promotion here at Tropicana Field?" I didn't say it like a little 10-year-old, but I said, "What's tonight's promotion here at Tropicana Field?" He goes, "I don't know." And I'm like, "It's chop." And this is weird because I don't know what brought me here, but I said, "It's chop at the Trop." And immediately I turned out, I'm on center field. Someone out there better comment that they saw me do this because damn, I owned it. Right over there, over the touch tank. And all of a sudden I went, oh God. Oh, but it was a lot louder. I sounded or looked a lot drunker. And a couple people were like, and I'd even looked right to the family with the FSU. And then I looked up and there was a young guy right there at FSU. And I'm like, and he looked at me and was like, yeah. He looked at me like, yeah, like, your older brother who made the jump off the ramp, but you're like, I'm not going to do it. But yeah, that was awesome. And I looked at him and I didn't expect the stadium to go off. I've started a wave. I think we've all started a wave. Mine go back to the old Big Sombrero. Those waves were epic. But I'm waiting for, and then like there was like a smattering. I don't know if that's a Leo word. There was a couple of people, and then I never heard the chant again the rest of the night. And I'm not trying to make this a narrative of FSU or Hurricanes and Gators or whatever. Maybe they felt intimidated by the amount of Orioles fans. And I get it, Baltimore Orioles, but it's not like the Cleveland Guardians were in town or we're over at Raymond James playing the Kansas City Chiefs. But I first thing I thought was like, Orioles? Is that going to be a chant? No, Orioles don't have a oh. And when I was doing that, it reminded me again back in the day earlier. I was talking to Peter Blake. Oh, there we go. Luis Alberto Murphy says it will be a great game today, brother. From your lips to God's ears. Let's get Taj on the bump. Day games in Tropicana Field, I'm telling you, I said this yesterday. Night games have been hot too. Did you guys remember what the Rays did the first month and a half of the season? I know it seems like a year ago, but day games at the Trop, as much as you're hoping for the other team's outfielders to have that weird overcast, hazy clouds came through for a second and they lose the ball, Rays usually get the bats working at the Trop. That usually goes in their favor, and they're going to need to today because if not, this pitching staff is going to have to sue this offense for lack of support. And you get that support. You don't got to go back to hitting 20 home run games and stuff like that. But it's time now. This is your home. You lost 2 of 3 so far. Make your stand against the other team that's now ahead of you in first place and would still be, even though you're 61 or 60, but mathematically, whatever, shut up. But get that victory. Let the Marlins come to town and start owning it. Start playing like the best team in the American League East, American League, and then Major League Baseball. Otherwise, what's it all for? And stop with the Ohtani talk. Unless, not the entire farm for Ohtani. Eric Neander even himself alludes to as much on Friday when he says, but I mean, again, what's a general manager going to do? We'd never sign a Tom Brady. Hello, Tom. I mean, not us particular. I'm just saying, general manager is supposed to, because here's what I see happening. Of course, it usually comes through at the end. Somebody steps up and goes, we'll give you 17 draft picks, the hottest pitcher in baseball, the best bat. We're going to we'll flip teams like the Expos and the Marlins did way back in the day when the Marlins got a very good organization when they killed Montreal and moved the Marlins organization to Montreal, which since baseball was leaving anyway, nobody really cared. Totally ruined that city. See, now I get a number up. Anyone got a comment on that? Oh, Luis again. Brother, keep going. What? Wells, 7 for 5, 3.54 ERA. Bradley, 5 and 6, 5.29 ERA. If Bradley can emulate his last game against the Rangers, 5 innings, 2 earned runs, and 9 Ks, Rays win. Oh, thank you, my friend. Yes. Yes, and yes. And I've heard even people say, oh, Taj could be that guy you want it because, Taj is up earlier because of Jeffrey Springs. And then, Eric, going into this season, in a perfect world, the Rays would have been doing just as good as they are, not better, but they wouldn't have to have had Taj up as long as they did and as early as they had to. But I mentioned Taj Bradley in that trade. Thank you, Luis, for that. Keep them coming. And all these teams are like, yeah, you know what I'll give for Ohtani? You can have my wife. You can have my girlfriend. You can have my Ferrari. You can have my beach house. I'm going to throw in 3 number ones, 2 number whatever. And at the end of the day, I think everybody's going to have a checkup from the neck up. That sun's starting to feel good. Everybody's going to have a checkup from the neck up and go, well, I mean, unless you really just want to make sure those seats are maximized, which the Rays aren't really even opening the third deck, although one pose they probably would. But he could bring that back. He could bring that pitching. And it could be exactly what these Rays feel like they could need to give this a shot. But that price shouldn't be selling the entire future. I don't know any team that's going to sell their entire future for 2 months of a shot at history and multiple levels. But it doesn't make a lot of sense, does it? Or you're a baller and you're like, hell yeah, it makes sense. I'll sell everything. I don't know. You tell me. So, a couple of things about the game I wanted to share last night. Let's see. Yeah, not a whole lot. It was such a great game. It was a good day. Had a blast before the game over at Ferg's, the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill down there on Central Avenue, just below 16th Street in the Edge District of St. Petersburg. Of course, Coach he didn't have that ticket we thought he had. And the funny thing is, here's the thing. Let me stick up for my guy. If you could have saw, I never got any video, but if you could have saw the amount of FSU people at yesterday's FSU bash at Ferg's, and how every time that chant got going and the vibe that was over there, and there's certain days where Coach will take the shirt off his back. There's certain days where you can't expect. July 4th game. A couple of series so far in 2023 where the Rays are just dead old in first place. FSU band booster day down there at Ferg's when it's so large. That, in retrospect, I can't believe I even asked. And the only chance that Coach probably would have had that ticket is because he had a plethora, that is a Leo word, of tickets because he buys. And that's how he supports not only the Rays and the community, but also the parties he's having there at the world famous Ferg Sports Bar and Grill. But that was part of my juxtaposition when I posed that we're over at Ferg's and it's, oh, and then we go over to Tropicana Field and it's like crickets. There was a couple, but I'm like, It just felt like the reason why I started that because it just felt like at that point in the game where we were at, and it's Florida and it's Tampa Bay and it's FSU and it's chop at the Trop night. That was the very minute that it felt like we needed the chop. That was the very minute where it felt like everyone, well, not the Oriole fans, because they're like, well, what are they doing? And we're like, yeah, we're not doing that. But it just felt like that could have been a thing, like a wave. And now I'm not saying posing I'm the guy to do that, but it just felt like a good place for it. Fell on deaf ears. So as we get ready to play the Orioles again, so the whole theme of the show just popped into my head. So we might be pacifistic, and by nature we're vacation area, and we love it. Although income taxes used to pay a lot more, taxes used to be a lot low. If we could just get tourists, in fact, there's an idea. Let's tax every tourist dollar spent 2% on every dollar, and it goes toward the insurance industry in Florida. So I can stop hearing about some bitch's insurance is getting canceled, and you can stop raping me. Hey, it's dangerous. It's paradise. There's hurricanes. It's a thing. This is ridiculous with the property taxes going up, because for all the years that we were like, we kind of ate crow, like, oh, we're a vacation community, so we're good with the Bears and the Lions and Vikings and Oriole fans, and we love it. We're not gonna all of a sudden strike. Speaking of strike, talk to me in a minute about that. But okay, we're still not making those increased labor wages, right? We're still not making that money that we should be getting paid. But now the property taxes or the insurance on our homes is becoming bigger than the than your mortgage itself. And we're like, thank you, mother. May I have another? And it's like, at what point do we go, okay, let's make sure we keep this thing in check, because it's going to happen. There's rainstorms. Good storm last night. Back to my Teamsters. I mean, I get in trouble for this. I'm a Teamster. One of the things I'm proudest of course, being a dad, having worked 35 years in government. I mean, there's a lot of things. Covering the Bucks, winning 2019's Creative Loafing Best Local Home. There's a lot of stuff I'm proud of. I'm also proud to be a Teamster. You guys and girls know that we're coming upon this thing. Everyone's like, oh, whatever, what's going on? And of course, everybody asks me, you're at UPS. You're going to strike? You're going to strike? I'm not in those talks. Ever since Jimmy Hoffa Sr., no longer around, I don't get invited to those closed door sessions, so I do not know. But I will tell you this. From where I stand, just my standpoint, working 5 nights a week, 4 hours a night on average, hustling that sort aisle and making sure your packages get in, get right, and get there safely and on time. Fix all the fans. Keep supplying that cold water, because that's one of the best things that's happened in the last decade is they've been supplying cold water for everybody, because there's so many dogs, guys and girls, young and old, in there busting their butts. And it is, the reason why UPS hires so many ex-athletes, and I work with quite a few dogs, because they've already had an introduction to it with 2-a-days in July or August or getting ready to go back to school. But improve the fans, continue making it cool and safe, keep that water coming. always overhydrate, and make it safer for my brothers and sisters out there on the road in the brown trucks. Not you guys and girls out there only from driving, because they're just trying to do their job. They're watching out for you, but make sure they're safer. Protect them from the sun. Give them those air conditions should they have it. They should have it. And if that's the reason why they're still standing their line, if that's the reason why there's still a chance at the end of this week, because of those things, not just because one section of employees feel like they need to be overpaid last night. I get it. The thinking is a rising tide raises all vessels, and I get it. Not as big. Again, Florida, income tax free state. We talked about those wages. It sucks. But because you think you want to be here and then it's going to raise all us up, for those of us that have been here, look, get paid. Get that insurance. Do that job. Be a brother, be a sister. But at the end of the day, guys, girls, let's get to the table on this, because nobody wants their packages to not get there on time. And I don't want to work in a hot ass hub, and I don't ever want to be without water. And I don't want my brothers and sisters out there on the road driving brown, or the others, to be in any kind of danger. Be real about it. All right. That's my close. I'm just over an hour. Let me get, Domain says 100% truth, taxes, etc., more than the home payment. Again, yeah. So, it's just like legalized, it's like Florida lottery. And I can go a little longer now. Thanks, Tim. Florida lottery, 1987, 86, whatever. We're Florida lottery. Passed the lottery. All the money's going to go to schools. And then, okay, fast forward 5 years, 800,000. I'm paraphrasing a little, but the numbers were looser. It may have been full 5, but I remember the 800,000 million from lottery went to education. Finally, 800 million left the front way to go for other areas of government. What? Wait a minute. The legalized gambling was to improve the education, the books, the college scholarships. There's places in Georgia where your kid gets a B or higher. They're guaranteed a college. Now, we got great colleges here. Lord knows we got some USF, Eckerd, University, or it's St. Petersburg College, my alma mater. But that was a promise. At the end of the day, it moved. Now, nobody's promising anything about your property value. Like, you live in Florida, you pay for it. I get it again. But like you said, Tim, you're agreeing with me. Let's get these, nobody should be told. We're literally told, we get a call from somebody. It's like a middle of the night booty call. We get a call and, hey, guess what? We're not carrying your property insurance next year. What? Or this is the B version. Hey, guess what? Yeah, it's going to cost you extra. No, that stuff costs extra. In fact, it's double what you've been paying. All right, just Venmo me and come over. All right, stupid. I'm just saying you're right. But working it back to the lottery. Who else did I not piss off today? Ken Welch. I didn't piss Ken Welch off. Talking about the job that he's doing, working it back to that stadium. If he doesn't just check boxes and continue this process, if the city of St. Petersburg doesn't pick the Hayes group, the group that the Rays had already been talking to about that plan to build a stadium, the same stadium builders that built that stadium in Georgia, in Atlanta, to build here. By him going through it all and making sure all the T's are crossed, the I's are dotted, everything's taken care of from an infrastructure standpoint, Mayor Welch is able to have complete control. So if we're all a little bit miffed that we don't feel like we have his ear as much as we have to, I get it. Mayor Welch, show up for a few coffee sipping talks, what have you. There's a lot of other issues in the community that require importance, but just because you can't get to Mayor Welch about it, you got a great supporting staff there at the city of St. Petersburg. Make sure you get your, be heard. Did I get any more comments on that one? Yeah, man, I was going so strong too after that one comment. All right, 10 o'clock. Wait a minute. I started at 9 o'clock. Okay, so stadium, Ray Stadium, last night, Oriole fans. I told the Taco Bell story yesterday. What a great story. I love it. I don't think I had a chance to tell it as much. But so managers, when you're setting places up, you put people in the areas of strength. You're strongest here, you're strongest there. I see it at UPS. I'm not fired from UPS or thrown out of the union for pissing somebody off. But you put someone in their place. So I walked into that Taco Bell on Friday, and it was, like I said, it's the one up on McMullen Booth, just short of Countryside. This Taco Bell is a slingshot. Oh, I'm talking here. This Taco Bell is a slingshot. You pull in off McMullen Booth, you pull into the drive-thru, you slingshot around, do a 180, get your food, and get back up onto McMullen Booth. That's the reason for this Taco Bell. That's the only reason for this Taco Bell. Well, and to deliver taco food. No, you're good, Christopher. I don't mind. I was going to ask you about the sound, but I got someone in there on that. But I wanted to get that special meal for my mom, who I'm going to go see right now after here and have breakfast with my mom. I wanted to get her a special taco. She wanted it steak. She wanted it cooked specific. I'm like, why take a chance at the drive-thru? I'm going to go in and get that extra bit of care. And I walk in, and there's just this young kid. I'm not young, wasn't like, but I mean, probably 17, summer job, just so eager to help. And I mean, welcome to Taco Bell. Can I take your order? And it wasn't like close the deal. Like, it wasn't like, and I'm just saying it wasn't, you could tell because of this slingshot Taco Bell, this young person, they have the skills to work a counter. They definitely have the communication skills, but you could tell that people coming in there wasn't something that maybe it does it later in the evening when it slows down. Maybe they reverse it a little when the drive-thru slows. Although Taco Bell, does the drive-thru ever slow down? And I just had the most stimulating and engaging back and forth with this young employee. I'm asking him, like, my mom wants this and that. He's giving me recommendations. He's talking about this. Ended up helping me order the right taco that my mom wolfed down, by the way. Thank you, Taco Bell. I know you guys are like, wow, Pimpin bought his mom Taco Bell. She wanted it. But it was one of those encounters where you're walking out and you can tell that the employee of Taco Bell had made me feel as good about communicating with them, the endorphin release, and talking to them as much as they did in engaging and assisting me to correctly order the exact meal. Yeah, those numbers did. The reason why it impresses on me, though, is because I want to remind you guys and girls that I close every one of these off with, everyone needs to know someone cares today. Why don't you be the one to let them know? And we talked about the big brothers and big sisters yesterday and adoption and what the NFL Network's doing and all these great programs that require not only our attention, but our support. But communications with our youth. And it's not just anymore. It's, oh, he's an old guy now and he doesn't like that. It's that people are just, the entire society is becoming let's go talk to him. Let's just go. And I'm not a bad thing because you're busy. We're working hustles. I got 17 jobs and I still can't feed the baby. Oh God, number one way down. But the engagement with that young employee just reminded me to just remind us that, you know what, showing someone you care isn't always just reaching out to someone you know and you love, although I pose you should be doing that anyway, and I will, and you should do that today. Take a moment to let a young person become better at being a young person, but also getting better at their job. There's so many great technical schools. There's so many great schools in the area. There's a lot of, we've got a lot of different, majors and stuff like that. But at the end of the day, it's that real life one-on-one, mano y mano talk. Allow them, and I'm the worst at this, right? Because I walk in and you can imagine, I walk in for someplace and I'm lecturing the minute I get in there. It's like, what? Okay, it's just my hassle. Remind yourself it's the interactions with our youth and with our older folks, because our older folks have gotten to a place where everything, welcome to, it's like, communicate. Because I'm telling you, the endorphins in your head, they release as much as they do in the other person's. And at the end of the day, we're just showing each other how much we love each other. This might be the perfect closing comment, Luis. Thanks for the opportunity to see you in August. Have to cover the last 26 race games. You ain't kidding, brother. Oh, man. I'll tell you what, we got to get it today, though. We got Taj on the mound. And let me tell you something. I didn't want to say it. I'm going to say it. Rays, Randy, last night was better, going deep into counts, creating a smaller. Does it look better when I go in the sun? Not that. Making that strike zone smaller than enabled us to make those hits and draw a few walks. It's like a golf club, guys. When you hold a golf club and you're swinging it and you're gripping it so hard that you would probably be like the Boston Strangler. And then all of a sudden, there's that one where you do everything right and you come through, and then as it goes through, you realize you were barely holding that club. Like it literally was just floating in your hand like some Jedi master trick. But the contact you made, the straight and thoroughness of that ball, the way it flies down the fairway. Let's get to that place today, Race. Let Taj do his stuff on the mound. Let's play good defense, but just start. Don't be so tight. Don't grip them like that, all right? Just keep the bats moving, play smart baseball, and let's get this victory to split the series with Baltimore, and then we can get serious against the Marlins. I think that would be a perfect Sunday. Yeah, I said all that in one breath. Woo. Everyone needs to know someone cares today. Be sure you let them know. Have a great Sunday, everybody. We'll see you on the next Cup of Ray. Yeah, it's not even funny anymore. I'd like to turn.